What's going on today, guys? Yeah, I went ahead and joined this group, and I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to laugh and like, and because Spinal Battle, you have these people, Chrissy Sis Killer, it's just all these people. They got some of them got, you know, they are so. You got brothers young. I'm not confused. I like to think before I speak. Okay. They push this Africa stuff. None of them ever been over there as deep as I was or stayed with families. I'm talking about months and years at a time. And most of them people don't identify as Africans. You can take 40 something countries and call them. You go to some places, call them African, they'll kill you. They actually literally put ties around you, set you on fire, cut your head off. You go around the Barbary Coast, a lot of our people from the Caribs, even Easter Island, um, Negroes from when the segregation first started during the Renaissance period to push all the Negroes out of so-called upper upper Mesopotamia, northern Mesopotamia in that direction. Um, they were sent, you know, all around the coastal lines of Africa. A lot of pale skins too, indigenous slaves. Most of the foods when I was over there, and it was funny thing is I learned this over there, not over here in the 80s. They were like, "Oh, most of this food comes from the Americas." Um, a lot of these straight people, straight head, long. I'm blessed. I'm grateful that I had so many brothers from Tijuana, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, brothers I met in the military, brothers who I went and stayed with their families who says, "Oh no," and they showed me pictures showing all these dark skinned people in their families. Who's that? I said, "Oh, these are people who my other side of my family came to conquer here." To have them people who remember that, you know, not this racial divide, this made up racial divide made up by Zionists, created by a system by the CFR that controls all governments. Whenever I see these young people open their mouth and ignorance is spewed from them, I say, but their tummies are like that of paps who have not been fed properly. And the majority of them are. Most of these Native Americans run around, they don't have a clue to anything. They don't, because they weren't educated, they don't really know anything. Other than what they say, well, my grandmammy and my great grand, well, my great great uncles fought in the Civil War as kids and told me different. My great grandma, my mammy, my great grandmammy, my great great 4 or 5 times over was on the Trail of Tears, 1839 as a child. Chickasaw. Made sure that my father knew to tell me who he was, and my aunt and a few other people, and passed down some stories like my great grandmother Bettina Lee. I shared family documents, our land, deeds, and all that stuff. No slaves, no Africans, unless you want to call Irish and you want to call us the ones that we help, who fought on our side. Majority of our people fought on the side of the grain. The original rebel flag had the name of the 4 tribes that were consistent to that which was to be stolen identity by the so-called civilized tribes. Civilized were more like freemen, Christians, those who were put in positions or selected, who were raised by European standards. For those who want to use the word European name, the word is stolen. Just like anybody, pale skin run around calling them Caucasian, stolen word. Jews run around calling themselves Khazarians, stolen word. The only thing that belongs to the Jews is the word Jew. They're Bolognese, converts. But even that history is skewed by lies and misnomers and redirects. Most of y'all don't want to hear that. I understand you don't, because it's hard to let go. And I'm not attempting to create turbulence. I'm making a valid. No, I can't say it. I can't validate. You got to validate by doing your research. I'm making an attempt to speak on things that I've learned, whether it be from my ancestors' side or my travels. You ask people about what's the CFR. They don't have a freaking clue. They go Google and they find something about some medical, and I'm like, no. How about the people It was established by Rothschild, Morgan, and some other a few other people and Rockefellers, and it was to in turn new ideologies and narratives, change real medicine into petroleum-based crap, to make sure you don't live as long as you can, to toxify all the water streams by strategically placing buildings, manufacturing buildings, by places where they can redirect streams to pollute the water so you couldn't drink fresh water and get healthy minerals. Oh yeah, they tore the buildings down, but they established them by certain points to poison the people. How about the Tartarian invasion set up by the Vatican, two generations, grandnephews of Genghis Khan, to use them as Mohammedans and Catholics to invade the Americas before Christopher Columbus even came here, and that was in the 1300s. At the same time, the Dutch, who were sent here to be watchers and saw the fall of the Mongol herds very quick. We decimated y'all. And then we adopted and took you in. Now you're not even good gatekeepers and you're running around. You don't even remember your history. So much hate because we've been fighting everybody longer than any and everybody on this planet. And we're still here. You know what bothers me is my sisters. Last year, 2 million abortions. Our women are more sick than anything. Our men have struggled as much as they can struggle. Until our women get it together, you know. I understand our ancient teachings. So a lot of y'all know I'm a linguist. I like to speak a few different languages. I'm not here for all that. Speaking language don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You know, first boarding schools were ours out in Florida. All right, in Louisiana and the Carolinas. Virginia's before it was the Carolinas. And that's where they learned our languages, really learned our languages. And we became, in the Free Amendment, you became Christian because you accepted Christian identity. And it wasn't for everybody because that name we married out. We have a bunch of sick people running around who are sick by an education system established when Theodore Teddy Roosevelt got into politics, because he wouldn't war without us and wouldn't go without us being on the sides. We weren't called black then. You call somebody black in the 1940s, you pretty much get your throat slit. You call them African. Oh, you get a beat down beyond, oh, be Jesus. But there were some brothers who were pale skinned and dark who were saw as African. They was brought over here as slaves. Just like the Asians, the Chinos down in South America, they were bringing them. They brought so many. And you still see the remnants. And they adopted once the Spaniards. You got to remember there was an internal war, just like anything else when you cursed on the land. And then when the French, the Dutch, and all of them, the Germanic, all of them, dark and pale skin, don't believe in Hollywood's narrative. And a lot of our scouts and Indian warriors conquered them. Yeah, that's right. And the funny, and you know what's not funny, but the funny thing is, which is not funny, is how people think they really know something. And they can't even put one and one together or tie their shoes without tying both feet together. It amazes me when I see all the people talk this hate and all this blang, 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 and I don't see no order. I see chaos. How can people open their mind and speak like they have order and they're all in chaos? I know. I should know. An OG like me. All right? An old guy like me. Let's going to leave it at that. All right? I look at a lot of people talking all this rambling. You know, I lived on the Navajo reservation. I lived on another reservation. I ain't going to speak on it for quite some time. Ex-military. You know what? When I got over here, I got so tired of knocking people out. They had this liquid courage, or they had this racist identity given to them by their father, who was abusing their mama and sometimes whooped their ass. And then it goes back only one generation, and most of those men didn't care. When they came back, they just wanted to drink because they was fighting in World War II. And they saw a lot of us, and we became their brothers. And then there's some of them who were very disrespectful because they attempt to be so much like the leper, the pale skin. They got their ass whooped. So when they came back here, it was a thing of hate push, but on their own cognizant mannerism, because they still kind of knew some truth. And it takes one generation. If you raise your child ignorant, no, that's your seed you plant. So how you think they're going to bloom and then blossom? I mean, come on. When you germinate something and you want to till the soil, you want to spoil the soil you till. How you think if something that breaks through, when it blossoms, when it sprouts, how you think it's going to blossom? What's it going to blossom into? I take very serious in my historical references and sources, and the people who I met, whether it be in Amsterdam, um, Edinburgh, Scotland, the Masons who were 80 and 90 and 70, the women and men. I was the only Aboriginal, only brother, the only Indian in there. And they were like, I just walked down the street. I told my boys, go ahead. I was a little hungry. I said, I just want to get something eating here. I know they can make a good shepherd's pie. I stopped being a vegan at this time. I was wanting to bulk up on some weight, so I was eating a lot of seafood. I was getting a lot of oysters from the. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. And oysters, lobsters, and steaks from my boys were MS. So I was getting bulking up. I wanted to get over like 220. And I couldn't do it in the vegan diet. I was always at about 179, 180 as a boxer and martial arts extraordinaire and a powerlifter. Just wasn't, I wanted to get bigger, heavier weight. So anyway, I wanted to eat a shepherd's pie. Actually, I wanted to eat two. They're so good. Not in most Scotland. And I had already been to the castle and everything. I saw the books, to see King James over there and what they pushed over here. No wonder they ramping everything up, trying to get rid of everybody. Because the truth, the Jews, it takes you all the way back to the time when they were chased out of, in the 11th century. But anyway, forget all that too. It's another conversation that can be had. To have these master masons over 33rd degree, who are no longer with us, I guarantee you. This is 1987. 87 was it? Yeah. Tell me and laugh after I drink that little row. There's a row of drinks. And the first time I did it, I fell off the chair. Thought I was going to stand up and go to the bathroom. I got to the 11th or whatever drink, 12 rows, I forget. Still coughing and stuff up, sorry. And, apologies, And, they love the fact that I knew so much, but to me it was so little. They started dropping gems and gifts. I said that before I leave here, I'm going to have to drink this row. I was there in that bar with these old cats sitting at a round table in the back. If anybody knows the bar I'm talking about, it's a good little ways from them. Anyway, it's a pretty open area where this bar is. It's really, really Edinburgh, Scotland. And I had enjoyed the shepherd's pie, drink some Sprite, seltzer, whatever the frig it is. And I made it through those 12 or whatever that drink, roll, whatever it was. And I was so drunk. But I remember everything. They were just dropping gems, gave me a little book. And they said, if you ever really want to travel, he says, you already traveling, son. You don't belong to nobody. You're no man's property. You never were. And I mean, to have these, and it's the women just love me. And they were like, if we was 40 years, 50 years younger, we'd just take you back and ravish you. And I was looking at these women like, thank goodness. Well, I was ignorant. I was young. Yeah, man. I was gifted personalities that in the younger days wouldn't have shared because it could have been detrimental to them. Here they literally said, we don't care anymore. We're tired. We realized our errors and a lot of mistakes. And I've seen this in a lot of places when I was in Amsterdam. When I when I was in Mallorca, Spain. Even Palma, Spain. I was taken in by like families were fighting who I was going to stay with because I was working on my Spanish at this time. I wouldn't come home and talk with my wife, and I wouldn't talk about it. I just listened to them. Speak Spanish. Because I was learning the proper Espanol. And and while I was teaching myself the Chata language, which is a myriad of all kind of like French, Spanish. It's the languages here are not the languages of our ancestors. It's not known. So I'm not going to get into that. And the languages are kept. If I knew better than librarians, I would have went and been putting together the language and to learn our ancestors' language. But I didn't. It doesn't matter to me. I'm looking at these people in this group and all the hate. and it's no good. It's not going to solve. It's not going to solve any problems. It's not going to quell any problems. It's not going to correct any issues. I see dissidents. I see people who are angry and fighting for something that rightfully doesn't belong for them. And I see people fighting for something that is in who they are. And I see a class of people who are classless, and it's sad because we're all family. But I see very, very sick people talking. I don't attempt to make no headway or no anything out of it. I gotta mix my drink, y'all. My mullen, get this mucus and crap out. Sorry about that. I mean, let me go ahead and hook this up real quick while I do this live. Excuse me. It's 30 drops. I think I got another one downstairs. I don't know. I got a head cold last week, right? That's why I say, man, if you got the flu shot and all that, I always telling people, man, stay the hell away from me. Do not bring yo. Oh, okay, there we go. It's dropping that. It's not I'm in the state where you got all these secret service, Mossad, and all this goofy motherfuckers on our land betraying our people. And then you got these uneducated, unethical people who don't know nothing, speaking as if they know something about DNA and all this other stuff. And it's just funny. It's comical to listen and watch these conversations. And I'm sitting there and I'm just taken aback by the ignorance, especially all the pale skins that claim to play us. Now, there's respectful ones, but man, you got this guy like Shane Long, he's nothing but a purebred Scottish or Irish, or whatever. And I'm Indian. My no, bro, your family was adopted in. Shut up. A lot of your mongrel brothers and sisters, you're very disrespectful. And I says, you don't even know that your family, and that's why you're so small numbers, was adopted in, but you're very disrespectful. And you think that this fake history that they teach, our numbers are greater than everybody's on here. They keep pushing this 13% Spanish population. Do you know how many Spanish brothers I got cousins, and they know that they're more of the Negro creed, and they don't hold on to this Renaissance narrative that keeps being pushed? No, man, that's all division. That's all race. I don't believe in races and all this races and all this other crap. That's their creation. The CFR. Look up what the CFR means. The C what? Of foreign relations. Think about it. Learn what they did, their job. Poisoning and murdering and killing and all that. They don't want us to come together, but a lot of these people are too goofy and stupid to know better. Amazes me, man. This is mulling and extract. It's better to steam it and breathe it if you got the plants. Now after this, in about a half hour, I'll go down and I'll make turmeric shots. Big thing of turmeric shots, and I'll take a little Arizona shot glass and boom, hold off. Then I'll enjoy some strawberries and a green smoothie with a little Hawaiian spirulina or blue algae spirulina that comes from the like towards Easter Island or the Caribs. So get this mucus and phlegm out, But I'm just doing this. I'm almost at 20 minutes. I'm attempting to make it at 20, 25 minutes. It's just very disturbing because a lot of people want to act like they're teachers, scholars, and they run around with a bunch of felonious ideologies. So all I'm going to do is my boy Perry Latimer. I can't get names right off the back right now. I'm sorry. My apologies. There's a lot of brothers and sisters on there, and I like how they're going about it. But to be argumentative shows that we're more in order of chaotic behavior, which is never going to solve anything. My thing is, we need to. If you want to carry on like you have order, you need to seek order first. And then once order starts establishing itself, she won't look at anything the way, you know. And it might sound like I was saying something wrong, bad about my boy Shane Long. I'm not. I wouldn't mind him being a tribal brother, you know, of this fake tribe Cherokee, which is the Ananalia people that's been pushed for so long. And the real name is you haven't even heard it. Yeah, I heard it when I learned it in some books in the Edinburgh Scotland Library of Congress. And I don't say it until I see some of the older people say it. They be like, "What's he talking about?" Somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, snap!" And it's not no big. There's no big eyes, no little U's. I get tired of listening to people run their mouths. What language you speak? What language you speak? What language do you understand? How about the etymology of the language you speak? It'll be a beautiful day when people put aside all these constructs that keep us divided. Man, when I was back home in New York, I ran with my Spanish brothers hard. And I don't like saying Spanish. My brothers who speak Spanish, I ran with them hard. My brothers that speak Mandarin and Cantonese. I think Cantonese is the go-to language now. But I still know we ran hard together. And sometimes we all ran together and everybody could speak, you know, and I got nothing but love for all of them. And I ain't attempting to make something that it ain't. Because a lot of people that talk all this positive stuff and people I respect, I'm going to respect everybody. Maybe some dumb racists I kind of have some respect for. But I know some rednecks, man, that lay their life down for me. I sure do. Man, I know some rednecks that will lay. You got to remember what the term redneck really applied to. But nowadays, it's used by people that wave our rebel flags around because they're ours in origin. Yeah. That will lay their life, and I lay my life down for them. I'm so tired of this division and this sickness, this disease, you know. And it starts with the families, aggravated by media, historical books that are not historical at all, but lies that have taken legends and made a myth. And I just would love to see people come around and get their head out of hot, because most of the people I see talking a whole lot of don't really know nothing at all. Then you find out, okay, well, they were adopted. That doesn't dismiss anything, because I know some people out here who have been adopted or raised by one side of the family who have achieved many great things. But it takes both. These people running around with patriarch and matriarch and all that, I stay away from them. I'm not going to get into that, because if I was to break that down, because of my Jewish ancestral heritage, or my German ancestral heritage on that side, or Spanish, whichever one, it would negate something else. And I don't do that, because I like to study real history compared to the history delivered or given. That's why I got in trouble in high school, you know, smacking the teacher and punching the principal, because I knew otherwise. And I would argue that. And I would always get these threats from these so-called adults. So I'd fight. And come to find out, I was always right. It wasn't about being right. It wasn't about, you know, it was about the reality of the situation, which is always dismissed easily, because in order to keep everybody going at each other's throat and separated and divided. So, you know, I'd rather fight the oppressors of truth, even if they're doing it ignorantly. I wasn't there to pick a side of whether you was ignorant or not. I know that you was lying, and I wasn't going to have it. Every time I went with one of my boys, Fernando or my man Julio, if they see this, man, I know they remember me, man. When I was in LA, you know, I go stay with their families in Tijuana. Man, mommy, oh my God, the breakfasts, oh my goodness. Oh, the siesta, when I was in Colombia. Oh, man. Mommy. Oh, my brothers. I would stay there for years with them, man, if I could, bro. Up the mountains picking and ayahuasca. I gotta be cool about that. Um, Never did DMT, the toad, it's in the ayahuasca and a few other things. There's a lot of stuff that, but mad love and respect for my Spanish speaking side of my family, bro. My brothers out there, my sisters, man. Nothing but mad love. My first two wives is Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican, one pale and one dark. I mean, but to know truth and history and know how it was mismanaged, misappropriated, changed, all for the purposes of taking the land. And nobody wants to understand or study federally recognized compared to Aboriginal, which they say don't exist. It's like when I came out here and the people told me Anasazi, I was like, wait, I heard that word before. That means our enemy. What do you mean? That's the people. I was like, no, the people people ain't never disappeared. Stop paying attention to PBS and all that. That's CFR. That's their manipulation to change the narrative to create a new world order. How can you create order out of chaos when order still exists? A lot of y'all remember in the hood when we was OGs, we say y'all out of order. You know what I'm saying? We got to remedy this. So a lot of people run around and been pushing this black and Negro only because of the music, the context of movies, and a lot of foreigners to the earth, when I say mentally, foreigners to the relationship we should be having together, are playing these roles to keep pushing this division. And who's backing it? Council on Foreign Relations, y'all don't know the first thing about these motherfuckers. Your presidents, your governments, your senates, and all these individuals, excuse my vernaculars, don't have to be disrespectful like that, play a part in it. And all you people running around talking about a vaccine, I'm not with that. It's not a vaccine, people. But to each his own, man. Go get the shot, get the shot. I understand ancient teachings. How many of y'all can talk about the pale wolf and the dark wolf? Not in layman's term either. How about the singing grass and the whispering leaves, the dancing suns and moon? Yeah, please don't give me this new Hopi bullshit. I'm gonna say this this Hopi bullcrap story. First of all, it's changed from the 1920s. The 1970s, all of a sudden blacks involved, but it was still about our return. But now you got a bunch of pale-skinned babies running around claiming to be Hopi. Dude, I got pictures from Library of Congress. Hopis are darker than most Negroes in the continent of so-called Africa and Mesopotamia. And I ain't got time for the nonsense. And that's why the Navajos didn't like a lot of them. Some of them married, but I sexed them up. So sex is sex. That's why we got to stop all this race and that and all that other crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I remember the original story. And it's done changed 75%. Almost eradicated us. The indigenous all over the earth. How can we be on Easter Island, controlled by so-called Britain, off the coast, way out there from California, and so-called South America in that direction? The Caribs, Cuba, them Mongolians running there, just Chinos, all right, Chinese, Hawaiians, all that, all the way over to the Maori. Man, look, all the way to Australia. How can we be all around this motherfucker in the original Book of Alaska? And it used the word Negro so much in that damn book I read when I was in the Library of Congress. And I'm sitting there going, what happened to that? You can't even find that at a bookstore. You can't even order it. Who's in charge? You need to understand the CFR is deeper than what you think. I'm not here to stop them. I'm going to make y'all put a stop. I'm not saying, I'm just pointing out some things that are relevant to the facts that some people are starting to see and notice. All right? And I talked about for a long time, well over 3 decades. I remember being in the military and talking, and one of the officers would come out and be like, "Dwayne, be careful talking about that stuff." I'm like, I know. My chief would be like, "Yo, we're gonna take you under our wing," And they did. Chief was from Alabama. My first he was out of one was out of Georgia, another one was out of Tupelo, Mississippi, and they made sure I knew. But they still already had very important information, but they didn't want me to get. They kept it protected and made sure, and they cultivated. And they said, when you come here, you see that boat over there, find you a family and stay with them. Stay away from all these idiots drinking and hunting women down. And that's what I did. I had my fun. I met I met a beautiful woman in Kiel, Germany. Beautiful. She looked mulatto, but more on the pale side, but built like a. She followed me around the whole tour of the trip. She flew and rode trains to every port, and I stayed with her. I was going to marry that woman. Had a house so big, a mansion, and when I remember walking in, her whole family's doctors and nurses and all this stuff. I remember this big portrait up on the thing with this dude wearing this blue, red, 1700 something. It's a Negro with curly hair, kind of curly, long hair. I said, who's that? He says, that's my great grandpa. Friggin' time's over. I'm like, wow. I didn't talk black and white and all that, man. I just couldn't do it. But we're at 31 minutes. I'm going to shut this off. I know a lot of people are going to, remain in whatever choice they choose. I'm going to keep seeking balance, order. Listening to that high pitch in my ear is my frequency. And tune it better to get rid of all this broken frequency. And thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of time again on YouTube. I've got a whole bunch of videos I want to upload, but I felt like it was very important that I get this one on here. We need to really look at ourselves, And hey, look, whatever choice you make and you want to be there and stand there on that decision, that choice, and so be it. You know what I'm saying? More power to you. No disrespect. I get tired of seeing people keep pushing felonious history for the sake of a currency that's going away. You know what I mean? So, again, mad love and respect. I'm going to go to the gun range. You see, I'm just got a couple of guns up. Now, the BP, that stays right there. When I'm asleep, if I need to grab something, I'm grabbing that. Excellent. I'm changing the barrel and a couple things to it, but and the trigger, awesome firearm, and the Panther, I think is the other one, newer, up-to-date one, but I'm still going to change the barrel and a few things to it, make it a little more aggressive. Hey, look, I love you all. Y'all have a good day, all right?